from Whatever Works Wellness Consultancy here. It's good to see you again. So this is my first video for 2026. I got early in on the prize. Okay, so 2025 for me was working out how I was going to align with the channel, or the channel was going to align with me. So I've worked that out. So this is my first video. It is about my topic that I tend to do a lot of work with in clinic, which is about CFS, ME, fibromyalgia, long COVID, sort of the really unusual type of illnesses that get pushed around and, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. I thought I'd start off with just talking a little bit about the things that I'm seeing in trends at the moment and why, and my rebuttal with certain things, or my opinion with others. Okay, so the first thing that we're stuck on in standard healthcare is there's still a lot of practitioners that think that CFS, ME, fibromyalgia and so on is not real, or it's just a mental health problem. That's crap. There's so many different things it actually is. This is why I tend to focus on it in my clinic, is because it's there's not a lot of people who do. There's a lot of people who treat it, but there's not a lot of people who focus on it. It's not real, or it's a mental health condition only. It's not. There's mental health components, absolutely. And there's mental health components from a lot of different ways of looking at it. We can look at it as today's psychology, we can look at it as developmental psychology, we can look at it as a society problem. There's so many different ways. And then we've also got to look at it and go, well, the reason why some people think it's not real is it's really hard to test for. You've got to test for everything first before you can rule it out. And then you've got some people that have this leaning or that leaning, or that's all actually explainable. It's very real. It's an immune disorder, mitochondrial disorder. It changes your genetics. It has mental health components. It has spirituality components if you want to go in that flavor. Otherwise, I go more the science thing, but I'll talk with whatever. And then the other component of it is a lot of people who tell you that it's not real, there's a lot of different reasons why they could benefit to telling you that it's not real. I mean, really. If you accept it as real and you go through the whole healing process, your life will change. And if your life will change, you'll become an unusual person. And you become an unusual person that might not sit with some of the people that were benefiting from you being a sick person. Okay. So that's just my opinion, but there's a hell of a lot of background knowledge I've got with that. Okay, so the next thing that's cheesing me off, this one I have less of a bone to pick. It is what is happening, but I'm not directly mad at them. Okay, so there's a lot of people in Australia that are very intelligent and are actually very nice people who treat ME, CFS and so on, but their treatments are way too expensive. So you have to be self-funded, already rich and get sick, or you have to have someone who loves you enough to belt out tens of thousands of dollars a year for your treatment. That's a lot. And then we've got a lot of different testing and things like that. The testing is getting very good, but a lot of people that I've treated, they can't even afford one supplement, let alone the testing. So my focus in my clinic is to make my services as affordable as possible, because poverty is one of the biggest problems that people experience either going into the condition or throughout the condition. So in order to help as many people as possible, I'm trying to work at the level that people can work at. So the only bone I have to pick with those guys charging too much, it's their business model, it's none of my business, is this was the same problem 15 years ago and 10 years ago and 5 years ago and last year when I went to the last big name conference, which I was grateful to go because they're awesome. They're doing all this whiz-bang stuff and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know if I could afford that, let alone a sick person. But anyway, I digress. So then the other thing that I was seeing, I spent a lot of time recently researching like say if you're too broke to afford to see anyone, even a doctor, but you can afford to research things on social media of some description. What social media was actually saying about these conditions, so CFS, ME, fibromyalgia and so on, holy shit. I wrote an article about it called Flabbergasted on my blog. The reason why I say flabbergasted is all I can think of, because I pretended to just be a layperson for a little while, right? No wonder no one gets well. That everyone is so convinced that it's this treatment or that treatment, or because this worked and that didn't, it's shit. And I'm like, no. This is an individual disease. You need to actually work through a lot of individual processes, and it's not a linear recovery, it's a spiral recovery. So say if you were a linear recovery, you're sick, you get a medication straight up, back to normal health. That is not how it works. It spirals back on itself, back, and each stage you have to introduce new concepts. So yes, fundamentals are nutrition, supplementation, sleep. Then it's social dynamics, self-fulfillment. There's 1,000 different things that you've got to work through before you can get a long-term remission. On that note, online, they had a serious problem with the concept of long-term remission, which I'm just like, what? It's entirely possible. There's 2 versions of it, right? So the first version I have not done frequently because I don't usually get to see people in the early stages. If I can get someone within the first 3 months, I can usually turn it around to a full remission just with nutrients and give them a good old talking to. Then the rest is up to them. So they have to spend a little bit, but they get themselves up and pretty quick. Then the other version is long-term remission because they've went through the acute stage, which is between 6 and 18 months, and they know what the triggers are by then. They know how to push their bodies to an appropriate threshold without exacerbating those triggers, and their bodies just get up and get going. That requires a lot of supplementation, that requires a lot of physical training, knowing yourself and knowing how this works, and more importantly, how this works, okay? So the long and the short is there's 2 versions of remission. Remission is entirely possible. It is the occasional flare up, which you've got to nurture through your body. Just like if you had a cold, you don't push yourself too hard when you have a cold. Then you go back to that long-term remission state, which your brain starts to work, your body starts to work, what you would expect appropriately for your age group. You might just tire out a little bit easier, but that's okay. Okay, so we've got those 2 there. And yeah, so I got in trouble. I won't go into the particulars of it because I don't need to name and shame. But I actually got in trouble for talking about that different modalities work together and that you can push yourself through certain stages and not through others. And that the most important thing is to actually pace yourself according to your own personal needs. So I found that quite interesting. I'm like, all right. I got told. Anyway, this is just bullshit. But if you're a sick person and you can't afford anyone, you can't afford myself, there are lots of things that I put on my blog. There are videos that I will release talking about this topic and other topics where don't give up on yourself is the most important thing. Your body is not betraying you. Your brain is not betraying you. You are sick with an illness that had a lot of different causal agents, okay? This illness does change how certain genetics work. So this is why I say it's a long-term remission. It's not a cure, okay? And honestly, it's against the law for me to claim cure. It's a thing we've got with our governing bodies, okay? So the long and the short is, if you don't have a lot of cash or you don't have a lot of support, at the very least know that it is real. You're not dying even though you feel like you're dying. Do not allow depression to enter your head any more than necessary because you think you're failing. You're actually not. There is a growing amount of problems that are increasing the tendency for you to show these disorders. A lot of toxicity in our environment, a lot of emotional toxicity in our society. It all is coming together. I prefer to call you guys the canary in the coal mine. I think just about everyone has the potential to start showing these illnesses more and more as society progresses through whatever health pathway it seems to be taking. I wrote a blog article about it. I genuinely do think that, is that you're showing illnesses just a little bit quicker than a lot of other people are showing illnesses, perhaps because of how you feel about certain things in life and family experiences and so on. So it is very real. There are treatments that are affordable, remission, long-term remission in between flare states, which can be managed through very quickly, is entirely possible. I will be endeavouring to walk you guys through a lot of these concepts, almost as a catalogue of knowledge, because it's becoming such a problem. It is an absolute tidal wave. And I'm on the crest going, woohoo! But no, the long and the short is Happy New Year, everyone. I hope to work with you nice and closely. The links for my blog are in the description box. The links for my consult, if you can afford it or if you wish to talk to me, are there as well. And let's get through this together. I didn't mention fibro very much. I just thought fibromyalgia, CFS, ME, even long COVID, fibromyalgia is almost the same. Almost. It has a few different things that we need to support nutritionally, and we have a few different concepts we need to support emotionally, but it's almost the same. So I put them all in together and go, we have what's in box number A, we have this, but there's different variations, different flavors, okay? So there are actually different illnesses, but the causal agents and how they can run concurrently, they can actually switch into each other. It is worth actually just understanding them as just a grouping of disorders. Time may show that I change my opinion on that, but at the moment I go, fibromyalgia is its own disease, but it's so similar to ME, CFS, that we treat it almost the same way, and ME CFS is so similar to fibromyalgia that we almost treat it the same way. So sorry to all of those fibromyalgia people. I had a bad joke, but I won't do that. Yeah, what are you going to do? Run after me? But yeah, so let's work together, and I hope to see you again. Thank you.